Welcome to today's episode of Tech Detective, where we dive into the intricate world of technology and its secrets. I'm your host, and today we're exploring something quite fascinating, the reverse engineering of TikTok's virtual machine, commonly referred to as its VM. Now, I know what you're thinking. Reverse engineering? That sounds complicated. But stick with me. We're going to break it down step by step. So let's start with the basics. TikTok uses a unique virtual machine as part of its security measures. This VM adds a layer of obfuscation, which makes it harder for intruders to manipulate how the application works. Imagine it's like a secret language that only TikTok understands. Now, one of the key components involved in this reverse engineering process is a file called webmssdk.js. When you first look at it, it's almost like trying to read a book written in code. It's heavily obfuscated. You might find lines that look like gibberish. For instance, you might see something like RG301, GB57E. What on earth does that mean? In fact, the first step in reverse engineering is de-obfuscating this code. By using something called regex and some clever methods, you can begin to see clearer terms and function calls. This is like peeling away layers of an onion to reveal the juicy interior. Now, let's take a moment to explore how this obfuscation works. One method involved using arrays to disguise function calls. For example, instead of calling a function directly, the code might be set up to call it from an array, making tracking and understanding what each function does a nightmare. To tackle this, developers take the array and turn each element into a regular function, thus restoring proper function calls. Think of it as giving names back to unnamed characters in a story, allowing you to follow the plot more easily. Once the code is clearer, the next step involves decrypting what we call bytecode. This bytecode is essentially a string that gets XORed with a secret key buried somewhere in the code. Picture this like a locked treasure chest. Unless you have the right key, you cannot access what's inside. The decryption process revives these locked treasures, revealing strings, functions, and other pieces of code that allow a better understanding of how TikTok's VM operates. But hang on, it gets cooler. This is not just any virtual machine. It's sophisticated and supports complex programming features like scopes and exception handling. It's akin to a well-structured city where every building has its purpose but is still part of a larger ecosystem. As developers reverse the VM, they can recreate a more readable version of the code, allowing them to see exactly what each function does. But there's a catch. TikTok constantly updates its VM, meaning that what works today might not work tomorrow. It keeps developers on their toes. Now you might be wondering, how does this impact the usual TikTok experience? Well, once the reverse engineering is finished, they can craft scripts to automate certain actions on TikTok, such as posting comments or navigating through content. The developers even use tools like TamperMonkey to overlay their scripts on the TikTok platform, making it easier to test out their changes. Before we wrap things up, let's just reflect on the implications of all of this. While reverse engineering can be used responsibly for education and security testing, it raises questions about privacy and security in the digital age. What safeguards do we have to protect our data? So as we finish today's episode, it's clear that the world of TikTok's virtual machine is a complex, ever-evolving landscape. Remember, just because you can decode it doesn't mean you should use that knowledge irresponsibly. Thank you for joining me today for this deep dive into the tech behind TikTok. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and who knows, you might decode the next big tech mystery.